Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this week's Abacus Next Free Training Thursdays webinar. This week, we're going to be focusing on Abacus Payment Exchange, also commonly referred to as APX, within Amicus Attorney. My name is Darren Juby, and I'm a product trainer here at Abacus Next, with my focus being the Amicus Attorney product line. As always, if anyone has any questions at all during our session today, please feel free to utilize the questions field here in GoToMeeting. And time permitting, I'll get to answering your questions either during or towards the end of our session. And if not, if time doesn't permit, of course, please do include your email address, and I'll happily follow up afterwards to provide you with the information that you seek. Of course, there's also the potential for me to be unable to answer a question. With that said, please again do provide your email address, and I will do the research required to get you the information that you're looking for and follow up accordingly. And so now, without further ado, let us begin discussing Abacus Payment Exchange in Amicus Attorney. So a brief agenda of what we're going to be discussing and demonstrating over the course of the next hour. What is APX, Abacus Payment Exchange? How do we start using APX within Amicus Attorney? We're going to go through the onboarding wizard together. From there, we're going to talk about and demonstrate managing payment methods within Amicus Attorney. We'll also discuss and demonstrate making a payment within Amicus Attorney. From there, we'll move along to how you can show your client invoices in the Amicus Client Portal. And from there, we'll close things off with showing you how your clients can go about paying their invoices through the Amicus Client Portal. So let us begin, before I move off my fancy splash screen here that you guys are seeing, let us begin talking about briefly here, what is APX or Abacus Payment Exchange? So Abacus Payment Exchange, or APX, is a payment solution that uses a single secure platform to process credit card and ACH payments within Amicus Attorney billing. So not only do you get paid quickly, but it also makes payments easy for your clients. Your Amicus administrator is able to sign up for APX within Amicus Attorney. APX pricing is simple. With APX, there are no hidden fees or long-term contracts, no monthly fees, no per transaction fee, and no cancellation fee. That's a lot of no's, but in this case, they are all extremely positive no's. Now, only a 3% flat fee is charged for any credit card transactions, and 0% for any ACH or eCheck transactions. APX is PCI compliant. PCI stands for the Payment Card Industry, and the PCI Data Security Standard is an information security standard for organizations that handle credit cards, and is mandated by the credit card brands and administered by the Payment Card Industry Security Standards Council. APX accepts most payment options, including MasterCard, Visa, American Express, Discover, and ACH. Now, this allows you to collect payments to your operating and trust accounts. The fees are deducted from the firm's operating account. So, for example, if a client was to make a $100 trust payment to you from their credit card using APX, the client pays you the $100. That $100 is then deposited into the trust account, and then the 3% fee would be deducted from your operating account. Therefore, as you can see through this example, the client's payment is never affected. This is key because that's one of the things that differentiates us from other similar services out there. Now, to start using APX, a firm must first complete the onboarding process and have been approved by our partners at Vantage. Only after successfully completing the underwriting can a firm start to handle credit card and ACH payments through APX. To begin this process, your Amicus administrator can sign up from within Amicus Attorney by going to Firm Settings and under the Billing section selecting Abacus Payment Exchange, APX in brackets. This will display the Billing Abacus Payment Exchange dialog, and from there, the onboarding process can begin. Now, one thing to note before we start going through that walkthrough of the onboarding process together here, folks, is that Abacus Payment Exchange is only available at this time to firms located within the United States, and it works only with bank accounts that are based within the United States. And you'll note that I said at this time. I'm sure that that is bound to change. I do not have any information that suggests to me when or if that's going to happen, but I would suggest to you that when we say something like that, when we're saying at this time, then there is potential for that to change. So do keep that in mind if any of you are not residing or working within the United States. So perhaps those of you here in Canada or any of our other clients across the globe. So please allow me to switch my screen here. And let's begin going through the onboarding process together. So we're going to do a nice little demonstration here as we discuss the whole onboarding process for you guys. And please do forgive me for the fact that I'm doing this through a bit of a demonstration model rather than through Amicus Attorney itself. I am located in Canada. I'm in Toronto, Ontario, and therefore, given what we've talked about as far as APX only being available to firms in the United States with bank accounts in the United States, you can see where that might impact me from being able to utilize this sort of standpoint. So with that said, I've worked with some of our product management team, and we've come up with this nice little way of displaying everything for you guys. So again, I'll apologize ahead of time for any inconveniences that are caused by the way I'm demonstrating things. So as we were stating, to begin the APX onboarding process, we need to log into Amicus Attorney as an administrator. And from there, we're going to need to complete the following steps. So the first things first, how do we know whether we're an administrator or not? Well, when we log into Amicus Attorney, if you don't already know, of course, if you're an administrator, you're going to have this additional section titled Administration over here on the left in the navigation panel of the Office module. And so, as we stated, from the Office module, logged in as an administrator, under the Administration section, we're going to click on Firm Settings, like we have this nice arrow pointing to here. And so upon doing so, we're now taken to the Firm Settings. So now I'd like to direct your attention over here under the Billing section. And of course, those of you who've used Amicus Attorney in the past and perhaps have begun using Amicus Attorney Billing later, you will recall and note that when we're just using the attorney, if our license is just for the Amicus Attorney side of the product, then our firm settings will consist of general, documents, files, people, calendar, time, the Outlook Exchange link, maintenance, and the client portal sections. But when our Amicus Attorney billing license has been applied, it opens up this additional section for billing. So here under the billing section, we need to click on Amicus Payment Exchange with APX in brackets, as you can see here. And again, I've got a nice arrow conveniently pointing towards that for us. So once we've done that, we are presented with the Firm Settings dialog for the billing Amicus Payment Exchange. As you can see, we get a little bit of a blurb here about it. And to proceed, we simply need to click on the Learn More /Enroll button here, like so. So let's do that together now, and again, we'll go through this workflow. So now we're presented with the APX registration window, as you can see here. We get a nice little bit of information about it, and we can always click on Learn More to get more information as well. Now in this case, we're not going to worry about the Learn More. We're going to worry about the actual workflow involved here. So with that said, to get started, well, we would click on the Get Started link, like so. So as you can see, we're now in the onboarding wizard. And most of the fields in this onboarding wizard are populated with information that is retrieved from your Amicus database. Click in the fields to edit or enter new information, as you can see. Once we're ready to proceed, we simply click on the Next button, like so. And again, we want to make sure all of our address information is correct. We're being asked if the firm or us personally have ever declared bankruptcy. There's some political exposure information here. And then so here, you'll see we get the account details information. So there's our operating account information. And then we're asked if we use a trust account, and if so, then we provide that information as well. Are we currently accepting credit cards? Yes or no? If we say yes, then we want to input that information. Same holds true for ACH, or electronic check payments. Are we currently accepting them? Yes or no? And if so, we are asked to input this information as well. Monthly card volume, average transaction. Monthly ACH volume, average ACH transaction. And so once we've completed filling in all of this information, we simply click on the Submit button now to proceed. Now, in doing so, we are now presented with the business owner/officer information dialog. We can use the scroll bars on the right here to scroll through the screens and confirm that all of the information is correct. Like so. And then once we've completed that, we simply click on the Continue button, like so. In doing so here, we're presented with some question-based authentication. So again, we can scroll through here and answer those questions accordingly and click Continue. There's our confirmation screen here. We just want to make sure, again, everything looks good and it's giving us a breakdown of the charges. There's our credit card fee, 3% flat rate, ACH, no fee. Same for the trust account, 3% flat rate for credit card, no fee for ACH. There's our terms and conditions. We can click on the link to download and print those out. And at this point, we either must click on I agree or I do not agree. Well, obviously, if we click on I do not agree, we're going to be canceling and aborting the process. So let's click on I agree together so that we can see how this is all going to work out. So next, you see here a verification in progress screen has been displayed. At this point, we get a little bit of information here about telling us that it's going to take it could take up to 2 business days to complete the verification. You can check the status at any time within the application after closing this window. And there's our phone number to reach out to our APX support team. And so let's click close on there. And so there you'll see that's what it's telling us right now as far as the status. So we can click OK on that. Let's see what the email looks like that we'll receive once things have been approved. And like I said, it may take up to 2 business days, but once that has passed, within that 2 business days, we should receive this email. So I'm going to show you what the email looks like here. And so as you can see, there's just a little bit of information. It's a sample of what you might see in the email that you receive. So let's just close that. And now what I want to show you is what the APX dialog in firm settings here is going to look like once our setup has been completed. And as you can see, the account is active and is able to accept the following: American Express, Visa, MasterCard, Discovery, and ACH. Our APX merchant account mapping. There's our operating account. There is our trust account. And so that, ladies and gentlemen, is how easy it is to complete the onboarding process, or the setup, if you will, of APX, or Abacus Payment Exchange, within Amicus Attorney. So now that we've covered the setup of things, let's move along and discuss and demonstrate how we would go about managing payment methods within Amicus Attorney. So to manage payment methods in Amicus Attorney, you would need to do the following. And do note that you do not need to be an administrator for the rest of what we're going to go through today. It's only to set up the onboarding of APX, if you will, that requires an administrator. So now that we've gotten all that stuff out of the way, we're logged into Amicus Attorney here. And again, like I said, it doesn't matter if we're an administrator or not. The first thing we want to do when it comes to managing payment methods is we're going to navigate to the People module like so. So we're going to select that from the navigation panel on the left here. But alternatively, of course, we could go to the Go menu and select People from there. We could right-click anywhere here and select People, or we could go down to the System tray, right-click on the Amicus Attorney icon, and select People from there like so. So let's click on the People module here in the navigation panel. And so here now I'm presented with the people module, and in here is my index of contacts, if you will. So from here, I want to select and open a contact from the people index. So let's select one here. We've opened up Ms. Janet Bailey, and to do that, I could have either selected her and double-clicked on her. I could have right-clicked and select open. So either which way I chose to get here, I've now got Janet Bailey's People Details dialog open in front of me. So from the People Details dialog, we want to go up to the Actions menu, like so. And we're going to select Manage APX Payment Method, like so. And so now we're presented with the Contacts APX Payment Method dialog. And it displays the APX payment methods for this contact. Right now, we see that she's got an Amex card in there. So we can click OK to return to the People Details dialog at this point. Or we can click the Add button if we wish to add another APX payment method. Well, let's go through that together so we can see what that looks like. So we'll click the Add button here like so. And you'll see that I'm now presented with an APX payment method dialog where it's asking me to save payment information. And I've got two choices at the top via radio buttons, either credit card or eCheck ACH. So I need to make my selection accordingly as to which type of payment method we're going to input. So for this first, we'll do one of each. But for the first example here, we'll select credit card. And so at this point, I need to populate the information, the name on the card number, the CVV code, which of course can be found on the back of the card, the expiry date, the billing address, and the send email receipt to address. Once we've completed filling in this information, we simply click the Submit button like so. And there is that additional credit card we've just added, the Visa. Well, let's do the same thing. We'll do an example here of an ACH or eCheck. So we'll click Add again. I will select the radio button for eCheck ACH. And again, now I'm being asked for bank account information. So let me just throw that back. You'll see it asks me for credit card information here. When I've selected this, you'll see it asks me for different pertinent information. So I would populate the bank account information, the name on the account number, the routing number, the account type, is it savings or checking, for example, and of course the billing address and the send email receipt to address. Again, at this point, once I'm done, I would click Submit. And so there's that savings account that I just added. So that is how easy it is to add new payment methods. And of course, upon clicking Submit, we're now back out here at the APX Payment Method dialog, and we see those payment methods listed. And of course, we've got a default option here where we can select which one is the default payment method by placing a check mark in the appropriate box. So we could continue to add more if we wanted to. We can even delete payment methods from here by selecting them and clicking the Delete button. Now, we're not going to do any of that at this point, so let's just click OK to complete the process and leave that area. We'll click Save and Close. And that's that. So we've now taken a look at and discussed just how easy it is to manage APX payment methods within Amicus Attorney. So the next thing that we're going to talk about and take a look at together is how to make a payment within Amicus Attorney. So to make a payment in Amicus Attorney, you must have access to the billing side of Amicus Attorney. And you would need to complete the following steps. So before I get into those steps, if you have a license for Amicus Attorney billing, but you as the particular user do not have access to the billing side of the program, please do speak with your Amicus administrator. They will either explain to you why you have not been granted access to that side of the program, or perhaps they've mistakenly not gotten towards getting that access to you yet, so they can address that at that time. Either which way, if you're questioning why you don't have access to the billing side, your administrator is the person to see on that side of things. Now, like I was saying, to make a payment in Amicus Attorney, we must have access to the billing side of the program, and we would need to complete the following steps. So, we're logged into Amicus Attorney here, and of course, by default, When we log in, if we have not changed our preferences, we're taken to the Office module. So that's going to be our starting point here yet again. So we're in the Office module. We've got our navigation panel over here on the left. And to get to the billing side of the program, well, we simply, up here at the top, you'll see we've got attorney and billing. So to begin with, let's click on billing to get over there. And voila, here we are. So now we're seeing the navigator screen on the billing side of Amicus Attorney. So we want to navigate now to the Files module. And of course, much like on the attorney side, we can go through the navigation panel over here on the left and select Files. We could go to the Go menu up here at the top and select Files. Or we could right-click and select Files from there. So let's just simply click Files here in the navigation panel on the left. And so now, here we are in the Files module over on the billing side. And of course, there's always the potential to see a discrepancy as far as the numbers of files that you see over here versus on the attorney side. And the same holds true for contacts when you're looking at the people module on the attorney side versus the clients module over here on the billing side. The underlying reason behind all of that is that what we see on the billing side of the program is only those entities that are billable, such as our billable files and the primary clients on our billable files. So just in case anyone was wondering about that, that's something to keep in mind if you notice discrepancies in your counts. So sorry I got a little off topic there, but now that we are here in the billing files module, let's click on the transactions button up here at the top like so. And obviously, because we're going to be talking about making a payment, then we're going to select the option here from the transactions menu to receive a payment. And in doing so, up comes our receive payment dialog. Now, the first thing we need to do is from the method drop-down here, the payment method, I should say, drop-down, we want to select the payment method. And then we're going to note the additional options. So let's click on that. And you're going to note, especially for those of you who have had Amicus Attorney billing for some time already, you'll note that they're the same options, but a couple of additional ones. Those additional options are credit card payment, APX in parentheses, and ACH payment with APX in parentheses. But the other options are the same as they were in regular Amicus Attorney billing, that being check, cash, credit card, electronic, and other. From there, so we'll select credit card APX. So from there, we can then select which card, if she's got multiple payment methods, for instance, that we want to use. And of course, there is the add button there as well, and you'll note it takes us right back to that save payment information dialog we saw earlier. So then at this point, what we want to do is enter the charge in the amount field. So we'll enter the $800 charge there. We could also enter a reference number and receipt number accordingly, of course. And we want to complete all the other fields by entering the information or selecting from the drop-down menus respectively. And some of these fields may be populated with information retrieved from the contact card already, as you can see, such as Janet Bailey and so forth. So at this point, we simply click on the Pay Now button down here at the bottom to display the following prompt. A charge for $800 will now be run, or whatever the amount was, will now be run on the Amex card, or again, whatever type of card it was, ending in this case, 1004, belonging to Janet Bailey. Do you want to proceed? And I do have the option to check this option off to not show this prompt again, so I'm just going to simply click yes on this. And there you go, payment processed. Successful credit card transaction for the amount, in this case, $800. And there's my confirmation number as well. Now, one other thing to note here is that you can click on the copy button here to copy the content of this prompt, the amount and the confirmation number that being, to the clipboard if desired, or click OK to simply return to the receive payment dialog. So perhaps you want to capture this information and put it in a note somewhere on the file. To do so, like I said, simply click on the copy button. That'll place the content of this in your clipboard, and then you're simply going to need to right click and paste or Control V to paste that information wherever you want it. So let's click OK to complete that process. And one thing to note here, folks, is that An expired credit card cannot be processed. A couple other things that I want to note here as well. If a print client receipts for bank accounts option is set, then the print receipt prompt would have displayed next. I would have then clicked OK to proceed with printing that receipt. And alternatively, I could have clicked cancel to return back out to the file as index here, of course. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is how we make a payment within Amicus Attorney. Now, I'm just going to add a little bit of information here to you guys. I don't have a way to demonstrate this, but I do want to mention things that you can do in regards to voiding and refunding an APX transaction. So just a brief little blurb here before we proceed on to showing an invoice in the client portal and so forth. APX allows your clients to quickly handle credit card and ACH receipts for both the general and trust bank accounts. If you change your mind or if you made a mistake on a transaction, you can cancel a payment or ask for a refund. Now, do note that APX payments cannot be deleted since they represent real money. So all APX payments will have an option in the footer to either void or refund the transaction. The difference between voiding and refunding is as follows. Refunding a transaction will return the money back to the customer's credit card. Voiding a transaction will cancel the original transaction as if it never happened. Now, in both cases, both of these transactions can take anywhere up to 5 days to process. Now, best practice is that voids are your first choice, as they're the most cost-effective compared to refunds. However, they only work on any unsettled transactions. So as a general rule, our partners at Vantage have recommended that firm members confirm they have received the deposit into their bank account before issuing any refunds. Now, an APX transaction can be voided on the same day as long as it has not yet been settled. The settlement time is 9 p.m. UTC, which is, of course, the universal time standard around the world. This equates out to being 3 p.m. Mountain Time or 5 p.m. Eastern Time, depending on where you're located. So hopefully that gives you a good idea of the timing. Any transactions that are created after that 9 p.m. UTC settlement time, so again 3 p.m. Mountain Time or 5 p.m. Eastern Time on any given day, will remain voidable until the next day's 9 p.m. UTC settlement time. So again, 3 p.m. or Mountain Time or 5 p.m. Eastern Time, given our examples. Now, just to give you a little bit more background on this, to void or refund any APX payments, you would simply open an APX receive payment dialog and click the void refund button in the footer to begin that process. A request would then be sent to our partners at Vantage after validating whether or not the transaction can be voided or refunded. Vantage would then respond by letting you know if the transaction can be voided. Now, one of the following prompts would display. If a credit card transaction can be voided, this will be the first choice. If it's non-voidable, then you'll receive a prompt asking for a refund. So that you could then click yes on that void or refund option for the transaction. At that point, you would receive a message prompt displaying that a payment may take up to 1 or more business days to be deposited into your bank account. The deposit cannot be verified at this time. Are you sure you wish to void or refund this ACH transaction? So at that point, you would click yes, and it would display a prompt with a confirmation number informing you that your payment has now been voided or refunded. So again, you'd be able to copy that information and put it somewhere in a note or something for yourselves. At that point, you would click OK to return to the receive payment dialog. The confirmation number on that received payment will now be in red, and the text voided with the date when the transaction was voided will appear underneath that. You can click View Voided Entry to view the voided transaction at that point as well. And of course, you can double-click on the Client Matter ID in the Files module to display that file's details dialog. And the voided refunded transaction will display with a strike-through in the amount column when you're viewing within the file details. And just a couple of notes, like I was saying earlier, ACH transactions may take up to 5 days to process. When an APX transaction cannot be voided, a refund will be issued, and a void or refund cannot result in a negative general retainer balance. So those are all things to keep in mind. And of course, from a reporting perspective, you can view any voided and refunded transactions. They will be included on cash receipts and trust bank journal reports, along with the original transaction. So you would be able to see that from a reporting perspective. So sorry for going a little off there, folks, but I just wanted to make sure I added that information. While I don't have an option to display that for you, I still wanted to make sure that I let you know that that was something that was doable. So moving along back to something I can demonstrate here, let's discuss and talk about and show here how we show client invoices within the Amicus client portal. So to make bills available in the Amicus client portal so that your clients can view and pay them, you would need to complete the following steps. So on the billing side, which is where we are currently, let's navigate to the Files module together here. And from there, let's open up a file by double-clicking on it to open up the File Details dialog. So we're going to open up this North American Truck Limited file here, or North American Trucking, I should say. So in the lower left now, you'll see that there's a portal icon. And if it's not enabled, so if this file does not have anything shared to the client portal and it's not been granted access to the client, you'll see that there's a red circle with a cross through it. So we can click on that portal icon. And in doing so, we're presented with the client portal dialog for this file. And the contact or contacts that are classified as clients on this file will be listed, as you can see here. So to proceed from here, we simply need to double click on the contact like so. And voila, we are now presented with this client portal dialog. So we need to check off this box right here to allow this contact to access the client portal. You'll see that we're given this prompt. So we'll say OK on that. And at this point, we've also noticed that it's checked off here, portal access, so we simply would click on Send Invitation now. At this point, we simply click the OK button to close this dialog and return to the client portal dialog, as you can see. And now it's telling us that it's pending as far as their status, because the invitation has been sent to them, but they have not yet completed the setup. So let's click OK again to close this. And now let's talk about how we're going to go about sharing the bills. So what we would do is over here on the left in the control panel on the File Details dialog, let's select bills like so. And now we want to select one or more bills that we're going to share through the client portal for this client. So in this case, let's select that one. Well, you know what? Let's select all three. So we've done that. And now what we want to do is click on the portal button up here, like so. Now on this portal sharing dialog that has just appeared, you'll see that there's a checkbox option here for visible to clients on the file who have portal access. So we want to check that off accordingly, like so, and then click OK. And now I want you to notice here as well in the portal column, you can see this icon with the check mark is now representing that these items have been successfully shared to the client portal. So we've completed that process. That's how simple it really is. We simply click Save and Close here now. And so what we've just completed here, folks, is we've sent an invitation to one of our clients to access the client portal. And then we went on top of that, we've shared out a file, and we've granted access or shared some of the invoices on that file so that they can see them and make payments to them within the Amicus client portal. So now your client's going to be able to see those bills in the client portal as well as make a payment. So let's now segue over to that portion of the session here, and we're going to go through the process that the client's going to experience at this point. So before we get to how a client's going to be able to pay or view and pay the invoices in the client portal, the first logical thing that we're going to need to go through here is what the client will experience when we sent that invitation out. And I want you guys to see this process, because that way, if a client that you've shared this access to comes back to you and says, hey, I got the email, but what do I do next? Well, you'll have a good idea of how to kind of walk them through this. At least I'm hoping so by the time we're through this. So once we've invited a client to access the Amicus client portal, they're going to receive the following email, or something very, very similar to it. To begin the process of setting up their client portal access, they must click on the Click Here link like so. So there's that Click Here link. Let's go through this together. We'll pretend that we are the client at this point. So we'll click there, and it takes us to this page in our web browser. Welcome to the Donnell & Dole LLC client portal, or in this case, it might be your firm's name that's at the top of this, with your firm logo here and your information accordingly. There, hello, your client's name. Welcome to the secure online portal. Please follow this quick one-time setup to create your account. Well, again, let's go through this together. So, client's going to click Next. There's the email address that this invitation was sent to, that they clicked the link from, so it's already got that populated, and that's going to be their login name. They need to come up with a new password, and it needs to be a strong password. For those of you who are not 100% aware or confident in what you believe to be a strong password, let me offer this little tidbit of advice. A strong password, by definition, is at least 8 characters in length and contains both upper and lowercase letters, some numbers, and some punctuation symbols. So what I like to do is I like to put a few capitals in there ever so often randomly in my passwords, and I also like to try to use numbers to replace letters. So I might use a 3 for an E, or a 4 for an A, or an H perhaps, and I might use the @ symbol for an A. You know, little things like that, a 0 instead of an O. Again, these are all just little tidbits or suggestions that I can throw out there for you guys when it comes to strong passwords, but hopefully you will be able to pass that along to your clients as well. And of course, if it's not a strong password, it's going to tell them here. But as long as it's indicating strong, we got a green line here, then we're good to proceed. So, strong password may take some getting used to. We recommend writing it down somewhere safe right now. Once they've done so, or whether they do so or not, they must click on this I'm good option here, and then click Next like so. At this point, the account gets created, and once completed, they're going to see this. Congratulations, your client portal account has been created. We've just sent you a confirmation email for your records. Click Login to begin using the secure portal now. So let's do that. And voila, we are now in the Amicus client portal from the client's perspective. So once we're logged into the Amicus client portal, the client can access or view their bills by accessing the billing module, either via the menu at the top or using the bills icon here, like so. You can see it's telling me I have 1 active file. There's no documents for me to see, no new notes for me to see, but I do have 3 bills to view. So again, I can go up here to get there, or I can go from here. So as you can see, the client's bills are listed here, and they can select one from the list, and then they can do the following. So let's select one here. So we can open the file. This will view the file that the bill is associated to. We can view the bill. We can view the bill, can download and save it, or print it out from here as well. View history will allow us to view the invoice history. So there's the open file option there. There's the view bill option. There's the view history. View payments allows us to view any payment history. So again, there we go there. And finally, there's a Pay Now button. This presents options to the client to make a payment, either full or partial. The client will receive a confirmation number and the option to print or close. And of course, click and close will close these respective dialogues and return us here to the billing module in the Amicus client portal. So let's do that together right now. We'll click Pay Now. We'll put in the amount that we're making a payment of, $1. and we'll submit. There's the processing payment. There's our confirmation. We can print or close. And now we are back out here. And if we go to view payments, well, there's that most recent payment. And you'll notice that it's got APX in parentheses. So I know that was made through APX. And of course, once finished, the client can easily log out of the Amicus client portal by simply clicking log out, like so. And one other thing I want to note is that once they've gone to the client portal the first time, to revisit there, the URL for them to use is amicusanywhere.com/portal. So do remember that as well, folks. And so as you can see, we've made it very easy and convenient for our clients to be able to view bills and make payments within the client portal. And the process becomes even smoother when we're utilizing APX. And so there is how they log out, and voila, that is that. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is an overview of Abacus Payment Exchange, or APX, within Amicus Attorney. If anyone has any questions about what we've discussed and demonstrated today, please do feel free to submit them now via the question feature here in GoToMeeting. So Terry, yes, indeed, it does use bank-grade encryption. And when you're asking about the information on the APX application, specifically the authorized signer's social security number and birth date, well, that information is not necessarily going to be transmitted. It's really just the credit card number information and so forth. The other information is already stored in your Amicus Attorney database. And so in that regard, you don't need to worry about that side of things. Michael asks, how do you set up recurring billing? Michael, currently at this time, recurring billing is not an option that we can set up. Whether or not that's going to be coming down the pipeline in the future or not, I'm not sure. What I would recommend to you, though, Michael, is if you're in Amicus Attorney, you'll see this feedback option up here next to help in the upper right. Click on that, like I just did, and it's going to take you to amicusattorney.featureupvote.com. And so this is where you can provide suggestions or review suggestions that have been already provided by users, and you can either add your vote to a suggestion that's already been made, or you can add a new one. And do note that our product management team does review these on a very regular basis, and that is how we get information as to what we need to do to improve or update Amicus Attorney moving forward. Now, when the client pays through the portal, do they add their card, or do we have to already have added it to their account? Lauren, they can either add their information through the client portal when they go to pay, or you can have added it for them through Amicus Attorney. Michael asks, is there a way for a client to make a one-time payment outside of the client portal? If they wanted to do it outside of the client portal, Michael, then as it stands right now, they would have to come into your office and you guys receive the payment that way. Now, do note that there's going to be an update coming out to Amicus Attorney very, very soon for those of you that do not already have it, because I know it's not quite in general availability just yet, but it's the 20.4 update, and that is going to be adding the feature to include a Pay Now link in the emails that you send out when you send a bill or a reminder. And so they'll be able to click on that Pay Now link and do it through there as well. Like, Terry, I'm not sure where you're going with some of the social security and birthday information, because that is not something, as we can see here. Let me go back. Let's go back to managing payment methods here quickly. Let's go to people. We'll open up our contact. We'll go to actions, manage APX payment method. Let's do an add. So you'll note that it's not asking for their social security number. It does ask for their expiry date on their card, but it's not asking for their birth date or their social security information. So we're not putting that information here. that information would be on your files in Amicus Attorney perhaps, but that information is not going to be transmitted as far as APX transactions and so forth are concerned. So in that regard, you don't need to worry on that side of things. But I'm sorry, Terry, that I'm not sure where else you'd be referring to that. In the application portion when we initially sign up for APX, that is different. That's for your firm information, but you would need to put in that information to be able to use the service. I see what you're saying now. So you're talking about, let me get out of here. You're talking about here in the onboarding itself, so you're talking about this information, so forth, and as we move along and so forth, I'm guessing that information is required. If not, you may not get approved. So I'm not sure how else to answer that question for you. I do apologize. You may want to inquire about that with our technical support team for further information on that, but realistically, that information is required for you to be approved. And Michael, I see that you asked, can you schedule future payment using APX? At this time, currently no. I would say that whether or not that's coming down the pipeline as a future update, again, you may want to utilize that feedback option that I mentioned to you earlier to suggest that as an option in a future update. And you're quite welcome, Terry. I'm glad I was able to at least somewhat answer your question for you there. I apologize for not being able to completely give you what you were looking for there. And do we have any other questions, folks, before we wrap things up here today? I did briefly discuss that, Michael, but I don't have the capabilities to demonstrate that in my current setup. So like I said, when it comes to being able to issue a void or a refund, there will be an option in the footer. Like I said, you can refund a transaction by simply opening an APX receive payment dialog. You would click on the void refund button that's in the footer to begin that process. Again, I apologize that I don't have the ability to demonstrate that better for you. Let me see if I can go back and show you at least one of the payment options here. So if we go in here, I'm going to go to billing, go to our files, go here. And so here would be a receive payment dialog. And so down here, there will be a void refund button. Clients can replenish their trust account in the client portal, yes. And as far as would it be there for an extended period of time for trust accounts and so forth, that I'm not 100% sure of, Michael. That's a question, admittedly, I have not had presented to me in the past. For you to get the quickest answer to that, I would suggest talking to one of our billing specialists in support, and they would be able to get you that information extremely quickly. Okay, folks. It does look like we've reached the end of our session for today, so just one more thing I want to quickly talk about before we wrap things up here today. And that's Abacus Maximus that's coming up here at the end of this month, June 24th through June 26th at Caesars Palace in Las Vegas, Nevada. If you guys weren't already familiar with this conference, then do please visit abacusmaximus.com to take a look at all the information about all the presenters and speakers that we will be having. We will be having live training sessions with all of the product trainers for our different products as well, that being Amicus Attorney, Abacus Law, Hot Docs, and Office Tools, to name a few. And like I said, we will have quite a few guest speakers as well. one of them being Aaron Brockovich as an example. So do please take the time to check out that website. And if you're interested in attending, by all means, please utilize the discount code webinar at the time that you're paying for your tickets, and you'll get $100 off for participating in this webinar today. So that's the end of my little sales pitch here, folks. And so thank you again, everyone, for attending and participating in today's Abacus Next Free Training Thursdays Amicus Attorney APX Abacus Payment Exchange session. Now, we will not be doing any Amicus Attorney sessions next week, but we will be returning the following week with 2 more, much like we did this week. So we will have a session on Tuesday, June the 18th at 2 p.m. Eastern, and that's regarding Amicus Attorney Outlook and Exchange Link Basics. And then on Thursday, June the 20th at 3:15 p.m. Eastern, so the same time that this one started, we will have one on Amicus Attorney Reporting 101. So I hope to see you all in both of those sessions if they appeal to you, and if not, I hope to see you at the conference at the end of this month. Thank you again all for attending, and have yourselves a wonderful rest of your day, week, and weekend to come.